From the moment he was born, he lived in the shadow of his perfect little brother. His parents showered him with love and praise, while he quietly endured. But everything changed one fateful day. The woman he loved, the one he thought he could trust, betrayed him in the most unimaginable way, and his little brother, the one he envied, was the one who caused it all. How will he react when everything he knew comes crashing down? Before continuing the story, tell me which city you're watching from. I want to know how far this video has come. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so I can send you exciting stories like this every day. Before Ryan and I were born, my parents lived modestly in a small, close-knit town. My father worked long hours as a mechanic, while my mother managed a local diner. Their life was simple, but filled with dreams of building a better future. When I was born, they were ecstatic, calling me their miracle baby after years of struggling to conceive. My early years were full of warmth and attention, but that all changed when Ryan arrived 2 years later. Suddenly, the focus shifted entirely to him. My parents' relief and joy at having a second child turned into overprotection and favoritism. As a toddler, Ryan's mischievous antics were laughed off, while my innocent mistakes were met with scolding. The imbalance in treatment was subtle at first, but grew more pronounced as we aged. In school, I excelled in academics and sports, often earning praise from teachers and coaches. Yet at home, those achievements were overshadowed by Ryan's smallest milestones. When he joined a soccer team and scored a goal, my parents celebrated for weeks. My trophies and awards collected dust, tucked away in a forgotten corner. One summer during a family trip to the lake, Ryan broke a neighbor's paddleboard. Although I was at the other end of the dock, I was blamed for not watching out for him. That incident solidified my role as the scapegoat, a title I couldn't seem to shake. Meanwhile, Ryan continued to bask in their uncritical affection. By the time I reached high school, the rift between Ryan and me widened. While I worked part-time jobs to save for college, Ryan received generous allowances and gifts from my parents. When I voiced my frustration, they dismissed it, saying, "You're older, you'll understand someday." But the truth was, I never felt understood. Despite it all, I kept pushing forward. I applied for scholarships, determined to escape the suffocating environment at home. When I secured a partial scholarship to college, I thought my parents would finally acknowledge my efforts. Instead, they threw a lavish party for Ryan's decision to attend community college, while my accomplishment went unnoticed. That moment solidified my belief that, no matter what I did, I would always be second to Ryan in their eyes. At 31 years old, I recently found myself reflecting on the life I had built, which until not too long ago included being engaged to my girlfriend of 5 years, Sophia. Having spent years navigating a family dynamic that often left me feeling overlooked, I realized how deeply those early patterns shaped my sense of self. Despite my efforts to carve out a meaningful existence, my younger brother Ryan, who is 29, has always commanded the spotlight. So Ryan was the center of my parents' attention, their golden child. His missteps, no matter how serious, were excused, while I bore the brunt of accountability. Achievements that might have earned me admiration were instead eclipsed by their fixation on Ryan's every minor success. Even gifts and celebrations became markers of the disparity, with Ryan receiving fanfare and me left with well-meaning but hollow encouragement to be a good role model. Moreover, when Ryan decided to attend community college, they even bought him a car. Meanwhile, I biked miles to work and struggled to afford school. Ryan eventually dropped out, declaring that college wasn't for him, and my parents praised his self-awareness while bankrolling a series of failed ventures he pursued. Despite this toxic environment, I focused on building a stable and independent life. My accomplishments, however, were always overshadowed by exaggerated tales of Ryan's so-called entrepreneurial spirit at family gatherings. I tried to maintain a relationship with him, but it was always competitive and one-sided. I met Sophia through one of Ryan's friends. She was everything I had ever wanted: intelligent, funny, and kind. For the first time, I felt truly appreciated. My parents, however, were critical of her, questioning why she would even date me. Strangely, Ryan took a sudden interest in my life, constantly asking about Sophia. I foolishly believed he genuinely cared. After dating for a year, Sophia and I moved in together. We were happy and started dreaming of a future filled with love and stability. 4 years later, I proposed, and she said yes. We decided on a long engagement so we could plan the wedding we'd always envisioned. When we shared the news of our engagement, my family's reactions were underwhelming. My mom's smile was clearly forced, my dad didn't seem to care, and Ryan's congratulations felt insincere. Not long after, Sophia started acting differently. She was on her phone constantly and going out more often. I trusted her completely and brushed off any suspicions. A few months ago, Sophia's behavior became even more erratic. She was moody and frequently unwell. I began to hope she might be pregnant, excited at the idea of starting a family. Then one night, my world fell apart. "I'm pregnant," she said, her voice shaky. "But it's not yours." Her words hit me like a truck. "What? What do you mean it's not mine?" Tears streamed down her face. "It's Ryan's." I was stunned, my mind reeling. "Ryan, my brother, how could you do this?" She broke down completely. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen." "It just happened. Just happened," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "How could you betray me like this, after everything we've been through?" Through her sobs, she muttered, "I was confused. And Ryan was there when you weren't. He made me feel seen." "Seen?" I spat bitterly. "I was working hard to build a future for us, sacrificing for our dreams. And you," I paused, trembling with fury. "You turned to him, my own brother?" She nodded, barely able to look at me. "I know I've ruined everything. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I still love you." I let out a bitter laugh. "Love? Don't use that word. You've been lying to me, sneaking around with my brother, and you call that love?" "Please," she begged, stepping closer. "It wasn't supposed to happen. I was lost, and Ryan said things that made me question us." "Question us?" I interrupted, my voice rising. "So you doubted me and went straight to him? The same brother who's competed with me my whole life?" Her voice quivered as she tried to explain. "Ryan made me feel like I deserved more." "Stop," I cut her off, my tone sharp and cold. "You threw away everything we had for that. I gave you my trust, my heart, and this is what you did with it?" She collapsed into peace, reaching for me. "I was selfish, I know. I regret it every day. Please let me fix this." "Fix it?" I replied bitterly. "You think this is something that can just be fixed? You've destroyed everything." Her cries filled the room as I stepped back. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you. I love you. I'll do anything to make this right." But I shook my head, the pain and anger overwhelming me. "It's too late, Sophia. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. You and Ryan can have each other." She dropped to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please don't leave me. I'll do whatever it takes." I stayed firm, my voice steady but cold. "You've already done enough. I can't forgive this. Not now, not ever." Her tear-streaked face looked up at me, desperate. "What are you saying? Don't throw me out. We can work through this." "No," I said firmly. "You lied to me, betrayed me, and broke everything we've built. Pack your things and leave." Her face went pale. "After everything, you're just going to throw me out?" "Yes," I replied without hesitation. "You made your decision long ago. Now I'm making mine. Get out." Tears streaked down her face as she stood motionless, her sobs echoing through the room. Slowly, she began to gather her belongings, each movement heavy with regret. I turned my back, unable to watch. The weight of her betrayal was too much for me to bear. As she packed, my anger shifted to Ryan. My hands trembled as I punched his number into my phone. It barely rang before he picked up, his tone casual, almost smug. "Hey," he greeted as if nothing had happened. "We need to talk," I said, barely keeping my voice steady. A pause, then he sighed. "Look, I don't know what this is about, but..." "Cut the act," I snapped, my words sharp and unforgiving. "I know everything, you and Sophia." There was silence on the line before he replied defensively. "All right, fine. I messed up, but it was a mistake, okay? It didn't mean anything." "She was drunk, and..." "Don't even try to downplay this," I interrupted, gripping the phone tighter. "You knew exactly what you were doing. You knew how much she meant to me, and you did it anyway." He let out another sigh, irritation creeping into his voice. "I said I'm sorry, all right? But maybe if you'd been a better fiancé, she wouldn't have come to me. His words hit me like a punch to the gut. My breath caught it as a rage surged through me. "Excuse me?" I growled, my voice cold and cutting. "You heard me," Ryan shot back. "If you'd been there for her, maybe she wouldn't have needed me. She needed someone who cared. That was it." Whatever restraint I had left snapped like a dry twig. "You think you can justify this?" I yelled, my voice thick with fury. "You think you can say that after what you've done?" He hesitated before replying. "I didn't mean for this to happen." I didn't give him a chance to say more. I slammed the phone down, my chest heaving as anger consumed me. I couldn't just sit there. I needed to confront him face to face. When I arrived at my parents' house, the tension in the air was suffocating. My parents were seated at the dining table, and Ryan stood near the window, shifting uneasily. His eyes met mine, a mix of guilt and defiance. My mother spoke first, her tone careful, almost rehearsed. "We need to talk. Ryan told us everything, and he knows it was a mistake." "Stop," I said, cutting her off. My voice was firm, simmering with anger. "You don't get to excuse him." Her face softened, but her allegiance to Ryan was obvious. "He's your brother. People make mistakes. Family forgives." "Family?" I said, my voice rising. "What kind of family excuses betrayal like this? You've been protecting him my whole life, no matter how much he's hurt me." My father chimed in, his tone cold and dismissive. "You're being overly dramatic. He made a mistake. You need to move past it." "Move past it?" I scoffed. "He didn't just make a mistake. He slept with my fiancée. He tore apart my life." Ryan finally spoke, stepping forward with a defensive tone. "She came to me, all right? She needed someone to comfort her." I glared at him, my voice low and sharp. "Don't try to spin this. You didn't comfort her. You took advantage of her, of me, of everything I trusted." He shifted uncomfortably, but his defensiveness returned. "You're just making this worse. If you can't let it go, how are we supposed to fix anything?" I stepped closer, my fists clenched at my sides. "Fix this? There's nothing to fix. You made your choice, Ryan. Now I'm making mine. You're not my brother anymore." My mother gasped. I turned to her, my voice breaking under the weight of years of resentment. "You've always put him first, every time. Even now you're defending him like what he did is no big deal." "Well, I won't, not this time." I turned back to Ryan, my tone filled with disgust. "You wanted everything I had, didn't you? Well, congratulations, you got it. But you've lost me in the process. You're nothing to me now," Ryan's voice faltered. "You don't mean that." "It was a mistake," I laughed bitterly. "A mistake? No, Ryan, a mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. What you did was deliberate, selfish, and now you get to live with the consequences." I look back at my parents, the weight of their unwavering loyalty to Ryan, crushing me. "You can have him. You're a perfect son, but I'm done. I've spent my whole life being second to him. Not anymore." My father's expression hardened. "You're acting childish. Family sticks together no matter what." I shook my head, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "If this is what family is, I want no part of it. You can keep him. I'm done." Without another word, I walked out, slamming the door behind me. The cool night air hit my face, and for the first time in years, I felt a strange, hollow sense of freedom. My heart was shattered, but I knew I had finally done what I should have done long ago. I walked away. When I got home, my phone was flooded with missed calls and texts. Sophia begged for forgiveness. Ryan alternated between apologizing and blaming me. My parents demanded I grow up and make amends. I ignored them all. I spent days alone, replaying every moment in my mind, trying to understand where it all went wrong. I barely ate or slept, calling out of work and burning through my vacation days. But through the pain, one thing became clear. I was done letting them control my life. Months passed. I moved to a new apartment, started therapy, and began rebuilding my life. But no matter how far I distanced myself, they still found ways to intrude. Texts, calls, and now unannounced visits. One Thursday, I found my mother waiting by my car, tears streaming down her face. She clutched her purse like it might solve everything. "Please," she sobbed as I approached. "You're tearing the family apart. Your father can't take this. We can't take it." I stopped, my stomach nodding. Mom, I didn't destroy this family. I didn't ask Ryan to sleep with my fiancé, and I didn't ask you to defend him. Her voice broke as she tried to reason with me. It was a mistake. Families forgive, son. Don't you want things to go back to normal? No, I said firmly. This isn't one mistake, it's a pattern, and I'm done being second best. I've tried to be part of this family, but every time I stand up for myself, I'm told I'm wrong. I won't forgive Ryan, and I'm not coming back. She crumpled onto the curb, sobbing. You're hurting us. Please think about this. I stood there for a moment, torn between anger and sorrow, but I couldn't let guilt pull me back. You don't get to make me feel guilty anymore, I said, my voice steady. I need to move on, even if that means cutting ties. I walked to my car, slammed the door, and started the engine. My phone rang. It was my father. Against my better judgment, I answered. Man up, he barked. This is family. You've been through worse, and you're letting this tear you apart. Forgive him and move on. I gripped the steering wheel, anger bubbling to the surface. You mean your family? The one where Ryan always comes first. I'm not doing this anymore. His voice turned cold. Then you've made your choice. Be ready to live with the consequences. I hung up, the air in the car suffocating, but I knew I couldn't go back. Later that week, a voicemail from a distant cousin awaited me. Hey, it's Jessica. I've been talking to your mom. I know things are hard, but family's everything. Don't throw that away. Maybe it's time to forgive Ryan. I called her back, my tone sharp. Jessica, you weren't there. You don't know what happened. I'm done being guilt-tripped into forgiving people who've hurt me. She sighed. I just thought you might want things back to how they were. No, I said firmly. I don't. I need to do what's best for me, even if that means leaving this all behind. Hanging up, I set my phone down. Finding peace wasn't easy, but I knew it was worth fighting for, even if it meant standing alone. Yesterday, Sophia messaged me. She's keeping the baby and plans to co-parent with Orion. My parents are thrilled about becoming grandparents, conveniently ignoring all the horrible things they said about Sophia when she was with me. Her message was filled with apologies and declarations of true love with Ryan. She even suggested we could all become friends for the child's sake. The nerve of it made my stomach churn. I'm at my limit. Part of me wants to sever all ties and disappear, start fresh somewhere far away. Another part is consumed with anger, wanting to stay and make them understand the depth of their betrayal. I feel trapped between the two. This betrayal has consumed my life. I can't be alone with my thoughts, let alone imagine trusting someone enough to date again. I've lost friends who think I'm being unreasonable, suggesting I take the high road and reconcile with my family, as if I caused this mess. The thought of Ryan and Sophia raising a child together, a child that could have been mine, is unbearable. I know the baby is innocent, but its existence is a constant reminder of their betrayal. Now my parents are urging me to be part of the child's life, calling it my duty as an uncle. The very idea makes me sick. How can I look at that child and not see the embodiment of everything they have taken from me? I've taken steps to protect myself. I consulted a lawyer and initiated a restraining order against my family. I've decided to have no involvement with the child. It's not the baby's fault, but I need to prioritize my mental health. Work has been my escape. HR has been supportive, offering extra security and remote work options. I'm also considering transferring to a new city. Starting over feels daunting, but it might be the only way to rebuild. Sophia admitted the affair, and the timeline confirms Ryan is the father. Even if the baby were mine, I doubt I could ever separate my feelings from the betrayal. Sophia's family has expressed their shock and support. They've cut ties with her and reached out to offer help. It's a small comfort in an otherwise isolating situation. This ordeal has forced me to question whether I even want a family. For now, I'm focusing on healing, one day at a time. The restraining order process has been more complicated than expected. At the hearing, my parents brought an expensive lawyer who twisted the truth, portraying me as irrational and vengeful. They claimed I was overreacting to a minor mistake. Their lawyers' polished arguments made my stomach churn, But the evidence was on my side. My lawyer presented the maltreatment texts, emails, and everything they'd done to invade my peace. The judge listened intently, weighing both sides. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor. "The restraining order is granted," she said firmly. "This behavior is unacceptable, and the order is effective immediately." Relief washed over me, but it felt hollow. My mother sobbed as though her world had ended, and my father's glare was heavy with disappointment. They looked at me as if I were the one who had betrayed them. As I left the courtroom, Ryan leaned against a wall, his eyes burning with anger. He stepped toward me, his jaw tight. "This isn't over," he muttered. "You'll regret this." My lawyer stepped in before I could respond. "Back off, Ryan," he said firmly. "The restraining order is in effect. Any further contact will lead to legal action." Ryan sneered but backed off. "You think a piece of paper will stop me? You can't hide forever." His words stung, but I refused to engage. I walked away, knowing I had taken a step toward reclaiming my life. Even if the path forward is lonely, I won't let them drag me back into their chaos. Last week, everything hit a breaking point. I was in a crucial meeting at work when my assistant nervously entered. "Your mom is in the lobby," she whispered. "She's causing a scene." Dread filled my chest as I excused myself. The last thing I needed was my personal drama spilling into work. When I reached the lobby, I couldn't believe what I saw. My mother stood surrounded by coworkers, flipping through a photo album of baby pictures of Ryan and me, telling stories about how close we once were. She was in the middle of recounting how Ryan and I used to bathe together as toddlers when she noticed me. Her face lit up and she rushed over. "Oh, sweetheart, I've been looking for you," she said cheerfully. "We're planning a baby shower for Ryan and Sophia and—" "I don't want to hear it," I interrupted sharply. "You need to leave now. You're trespassing. And if you don't go, I'll call the police." Her expression froze, shifting from shock to frustration. "I don't understand why you're being like this," she protested. "I'm just trying to make things right." "I don't care," I said, cutting her off again. "Leave now." Before she could argue further, security intervened. I turned away, letting them escort her out, unwilling to engage any longer. She had crossed a line and I wasn't going to tolerate it. The rest of the day was damage control, apologizing to my employer, and smoothing things over with coworkers who had been dragged into the spectacle. While most were sympathetic, I could sense the whispers and judgment. It left a bitter taste in my mouth, a reminder of how deeply my family's dysfunction had invaded my life. A few days later, I was at the gym, trying to burn off some of the lingering frustration. The rhythmic pounding of my fists on the punching bag was a small relief, but the voice behind me shattered my focus. "Still working out, huh?" Ryan sneered, his tone laced with sarcasm. I turned and there he was, standing smugly despite the restraining order. Anger surged through me. "Get lost, Ryan," I said coldly. "You're not supposed to be here." He laughed loudly, drawing attention. "Oh, come on, don't be like that," he taunted, stepping closer. "You've got your precious restraining order. But guess what? I'm still hooking up with Sophia." That was it. My control snapped. "Leave," I growled, my voice low and dangerous. He smirked. "What are you going to do about it? Call the cops. You think they'll believe you?" Before I could stop myself, I swung, my fist connected with his jaw, and for a split second there was silence. Then Ryan lunged at me, grabbing my shirt, and we tumbled to the floor. We fought like children, fists flying. Pain flared as his punch connected with my face, and I landed one to his stomach in return. My vision blurred briefly, but I shoved him off with all my strength. "You're dead to me, Ryan," I yelled, but he came at me again, grabbing my shirt. "You're nothing but a pathetic." He spat, but I didn't let him finish. I swung again, landing a kick. By the time the gym staff intervened, we were both bruised and out of breath. A trainer held me back while another restrained Ryan. The gym manager stormed over, his voice cutting through the chaos. "That's enough. If you two don't stop, I'm calling the cops. You're both banned." Ryan glared at me, his face twisted with rage, but he finally backed down. Wiping the blood from his nose, he threw me one last venomous look before storming out. I stood there trying to catch my breath as the manager turned to me. "You need to leave too," he said firmly. I grabbed my things and left, ignoring the stares and whispers from other gym-goers. None of it mattered except putting distance between myself and Ryan. As I walked to my car, adrenaline still coursing through me. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end. Driving home, still buzzing from adrenaline, my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but without thinking, I picked up. "How could you?" Sophia's furious voice exploded through the line. "You broke Ryan's nose. He might need surgery." Her words were so absurd that I let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, my apologies," I said sarcastically. "Did I hurt your precious boyfriend? The one you cheated on me with for months? My mistake." She was silent for a moment, then spoke in a trembling voice. "This isn't about that. Ryan is hurt, and the baby can feel my stress." "You're being so selfish," my anger reignited. "Selfish? You're really going to lecture me about selfishness after what you've done? You've got some nerve, Sophia." She started sobbing, her voice cracking. "This isn't just about us. It's about the baby. Please try to understand." I clenched my jaw. "No, you don't get to make this about the baby. You made it about your betrayal." "I'm done." Before she could respond, I hung up and blocked her number. I wasn't wasting another second on her. The fallout from the fight didn't stop there. Word spread quickly, and my phone was flooded with messages. Some friends offered support, understanding why I snapped. But others criticized me, painting me as the villain. One message from an old friend stung. "I get that you're hurt, but seriously? Knocking up Ryan was a step too far." Another came from someone I barely knew. "What's wrong with you? He's your brother. Are you really that angry over a mistake? You're ruining everything." The judgment was infuriating. How could they side with Ryan after all he'd done? Thankfully, there were messages from people who understood. "You did what you had to do," one close friend wrote. "Don't let anyone make you feel bad for standing up for yourself. You're better off without them." Sophia's parents even reached out, expressing their disgust with her behavior and offering their support. It was a small comfort, but I appreciated it. Still, the anger and guilt lingered. The image of Ryan's bloodied face replayed in my mind, and I hated that I'd stooped to his level. The legal aftermath only deepened the chaos. My lawyer called the next day, his tone heavy with bad news. "Ryan has filed attack charges against you," he informed me. I immediately protested, my frustration spilling out. "He broke the restraining order. He provoked me." My lawyer sighed, the weariness in his voice unmistakable. "I understand your perspective, but you threw the first punch, and that complicates the situation. We'll file charges against him for violating the restraining order, but it's not going to be an easy case." A wave of frustration hit me hard. "What happens now?" I asked, feeling cornered. "You'll need to give statements to the police, document your injuries, and prepare for a drawn-out legal process," he explained grimly. "It's going to be humiliating, I'm afraid. I wish I had better news." Giving my statement to the police felt like a gut punch. Explaining how my own brother had pushed me to violence was humiliating. They were professional but detached, documenting every detail as I showed them my swollen face and bruises from the fight. Adding insult to injury, the gym manager called. "After what happened, we have to ban you both," he said apologetically. "It's policy." I swallowed my frustration. "I understand," I said, though I didn't. Losing the gym, a rare outlet for my stress, felt like another blow. Everything seemed to be slipping away, and for the first time in a long while, I wasn't sure how to move forward. Late one evening, my cousin Chloe called, her voice tinged with concern and frustration. "Hey, how are you holding up?" she asked softly. I let out a sigh. "Same as always, just trying to get through the day." "What's going on?" She hesitated. "It's about the family." My stomach tightened. "More drama?" "Yeah," she admitted with a heavy sigh. "They've been pressuring me, especially Mom and Dad, to turn against you. But I'm not doing it. I wanted you to know that." Relief swept over me. "Thanks, Chloe. That means a lot." "There's more," she said carefully. "They've been spreading rumors about you." I stiffened. "What kind of rumors?" "They're saying you're having a breakdown," she explained. "That you're jealous of Ryan and Sophia and can't accept their relationship. Basically, they're painting you as bitter and unstable." I laughed bitterly. Unbelievable. After everything, they still find a way to make me the villain? "Unfortunately, yeah," Chloe said. "Some people see through it, but others believe them. It's like the truth doesn't matter to them, only their version of the story." I clench my jaw, trying to stay calm. I'm exhausted, Chloe. I'm trying to heal and move on, but they won't let me. They've already ruined enough. I get it, she said sympathetically, but I'm standing by you. I won't let them smear your name without a fight. Her words lifted a small weight off my chest. Thank you, Chloe. I don't know what I'd do without you. You don't need to thank me, she said firmly. I've got your back. After a pause, I said, it's just frustrating. All I want is peace, but they keep dragging me back into their mess. I can't seem to escape it. I know, she replied gently, but remember, not everyone believes them. Some people see the truth, even if it doesn't feel that way. I nodded, a little more hopeful. Thanks. I'll try to keep that in mind. Before we hung up, she added, take care of yourself and call if you need anything. I will, I said. I'm lucky to have you in my corner. Same here, talk soon. After the call, I sat quietly, processing her words. It hurt knowing my own parents were tarnishing my name, but having Chloe on my side gave me some comfort. The tension at work hadn't eased since the incident with my mother and the gym fight going viral on social media. My coworkers were distant, their unease palpable. One afternoon, my manager called me into his office. Closing the door behind me, I sat down, sensing this wasn't a routine meeting. Ethan, he began, fiddling with a pen. I want you to know we value you and everything you bring to the team. You've been a great employee, and we see you're going through a lot. I nodded cautiously. I appreciate that. Thank you. He sighed, clearly uncomfortable. Given the circumstances, I think it might be best if you take some time off. A personal sabbatical, paid of course, until things settle down. My heart sank. Work was my only escape from the chaos in my life. I don't know, I started hesitantly. I'm not sure that's the best idea. I understand, he said, his tone gentle but firm. But you've been under a lot of stress, and honestly, you're not at your best right now. A break might help. I clenched my fists under the desk, frustration bubbling up. I'm fine, I said through gritted teeth. I don't need time off. I need to keep working. His sympathetic smile only fueled my irritation. Sometimes stepping back is the best way to move forward. Take the time to focus on yourself. When you're ready, we'll be here. I sighed, realizing he wasn't giving me a choice. Fine, I said, forcing calm into my voice. Thank you for understanding. He looked relieved. Of course, we'll sort out the details soon. As I left, embarrassment and anger warred inside me. I grabbed my things, trying to ignore the stares and whispers that seemed louder than usual. Walking past the break room, I overheard two co-workers talking. Did you hear? One said, chuckling. Ryan got Ethan's fiancée pregnant. How screwed up is that? I froze as the blood drained from my face. My first instinct was to confront them, but instead I grabbed the doorknob, yanked it hard, and slammed the door behind me. The sound echoed through the hallway, and I felt their startled stares on my back as I walked away. I didn't stop to explain or apologize, just kept moving, feeling a grim satisfaction at their shocked silence. For the first time in days, I felt a sliver of control, even as the cold weight of my reality settled back over me. It had been an exhausting day. The stress of work, the legal drama, and the relentless family chaos weighed on me. That night, I found myself doing what had become a habit, driving aimlessly. The hum of the car and the steady rhythm of the road were the only things grounding me. The cool night air blew through the open window, but I barely noticed. I didn't have a destination, but somehow I ended up outside the old apartment Sophia and I had shared. I stared at the building, memories flooding back, and wondered how everything had unraveled so quickly. A buzz from my phone pulled me from my thoughts. A notification from social media. Against my better judgment, I opened it. The message was from Emily, Sophia's younger sister. Hey, I just wanted to say I'm sorry about everything. I can't believe what Sophia and Ryan did to you. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. I stared at the message, unsure how to respond. Was this a trap? A ploy for more drama? Or was she genuinely reaching out? Emily had distanced herself from Sophia when things fell apart, but her timing felt strange. I typed back, "Why are you reaching out now after everything?" Her reply came quickly. "I know it's weird, and I get it if you don't want to talk to me. But I couldn't stay silent anymore. Sophia's been telling everyone she's suffering, claiming Ryan is her true love, and it's all lies. I'm disgusted by it. I don't want you to feel like you're alone. Not everyone in the family's on their side. A mix of anger and gratitude surged inside me. Could I trust her? Was this genuine? How do I know you're not trying to mess with me like the rest of them? I replied. Why now? After a pause, she responded, I don't blame you for doubting me, but I'm not like Sophia, and I'm not close to her anymore. I've seen what she and Ryan are doing, and it's disgusting. They moved in together and she's playing the sufferer to anyone who will listen. I just want you to have the truth, even if it hurts. Her words stirred something in me, a mix of vindication and renewed anger. I finally typed back. Thanks for being honest. I don't know what this means, but at least you're not lying to me. I never will, she promised. I exhaled deeply, started the car, and drove off. Emily's message didn't erase the pain, but it was a rare moment of truth in a sea of lies. For now, that was enough. The calm didn't last. Within days, the gym fight with Ryan was all over social media. Someone, probably one of his friends, posted a detailed account on a local Facebook page. They didn't name us, but the description was specific enough that anyone who knew us could connect the dots. The comments section exploded. Some defended me, saying Ryan had it coming. He deserved it, one person wrote bluntly. Others took Ryan's side, calling me unhinged and accusing me of needing professional help. One comment even suggested I should be locked up for attack. The negative comments cut deep. No matter how hard I tried to ignore them, the avalanche of judgment was overwhelming. People I hadn't spoken to in years popped up in my notifications, some offering support, others prying for details or gossip. The whispers and speculations spread like wildfire. Everyone wanted a piece of the drama, and I couldn't escape it. The betrayal, the lies, and now the public humiliation. It all felt inescapable. One night, after drinking too much to numb the frustration, I made the mistake of revisiting that viral post. The comments were even crueler this time, and as I read through each judgmental remark, my chest burned with anger. My heart pounded as I hurled my phone across the room. It hit the wall with a loud crack, the screen shattering on impact. I stared at the broken phone, the weight of everything pressing down on me. My life had become a chaotic public spectacle where everyone felt entitled to weigh in, regardless of the truth. The next day, I deactivated most of my social media accounts. The endless notifications, invasive questions, and constant judgment were suffocating. Shutting it all down felt like the only way to breathe, even though the damage was already done. My phone was shattered, and I was left grappling with the pieces of my life. Staying in this city no longer feels like an option. Everywhere I turn, there are reminders of Sophia, Ryan, and my family. I can't escape the humiliation or the memories. Even the thought of running into them sends a wave of anxiety through me. I've started exploring internal transfers at work. A position in the Seattle office caught my attention. At first, I hesitated. Seattle's constant rain and unfamiliarity felt daunting, but the idea of starting fresh, somewhere no one knows my story, began to feel like a lifeline. The more I think about it, the more certain I feel. A new city, a new apartment, and a chance to rebuild without the shadow of betrayal hanging over me. Leaving everything behind might be the only way forward. Meanwhile, my parents have gone silent since the restraining order was issued. I know this quiet won't last. They're likely strategizing their next move. For now, I'm savoring the rare peace. Sophia, however, has been broadcasting her pregnancy all over social media. Emily, her younger sister, told me about the constant posts, ultrasound photos, baby bump updates, and gushing captions about her blessed life with Ryan. Each one feels like a punch to the gut, a painful reminder of the future I thought I was building. Despite everything, part of me still hurts. I try to avoid their updates, but sometimes curiosity gets the better of me. Each post is like reopening a wound, reminding me of what I've lost. The decision to relocate became final after a particularly rough day. I had just left another frustrating meeting with my lawyer about Ryan's attack charges. The case is dragging on, and the stress is suffocating. Returning home, I found an envelope in my mailbox. The handwriting on the front stopped me in my tracks. Sophia's. My first instinct was to throw it away, but curiosity won. Inside was an ultrasound photo and a handwritten letter. I know things have been hard, but I wanted to share some good news. Ryan and I are expecting a baby, and we're excited for this new chapter. I hope in time you'll find it in your heart to be happy for us. The baby will be lucky to have an uncle like you. Take care. I stared at the letter, anger bubbling up. Before I knew it, I unblocked Sophia's number and called her. My hands shook as it rang. Hello? Her voice was calm, like nothing had happened. Listen, you selfish witch, I snapped. I just read your letter. Are you seriously trying to make me feel happy for you and Ryan after everything? There was a pause before she responded softly. I know this isn't easy. Not easy, I interrupted, my voice rising. You destroyed my life. You and Ryan. And now you want me to be the loving uncle to your kid? You're insane. You tore apart everything we had, and now you think I'm going to forgive and forget? You're delusional. Her voice wavered. I never wanted to hurt you. I laughed bitterly. Don't lie to yourself. You knew exactly what you were doing. You, Ryan, my parents, you could all go to hell. She inhaled sharply, but I didn't let up. I'm not going to play along with your fantasy. That baby is nothing but a reminder of your betrayal. Don't contact me again. There was a long silence. I could almost hear her trying to compose herself on the other end. Finally, Sophia spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I really hoped you'd come around eventually. I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. Well, you hoped wrong. I'm not going to be okay with this, Sophia. And as for your baby, find someone else to play family man. It's not gonna be me. Before she could respond, I hung up. I didn't care what else she had to say. I'd said everything I needed to. I tossed my phone onto the couch and started pacing, adrenaline still coursing through me. It wasn't my finest moment, but for the first time in months, I felt like I'd reclaimed some of my power. Later that night, I realized I couldn't keep living like this. The memories, the betrayals, the suffocating reminders of everything that had gone wrong. It was too much. I needed to leave. I needed a fresh start far away from Sophia, Ryan, and my family. Without hesitation, I called my supervisor. Hey, I said, trying to steady my voice. I've decided to take the transfer to Seattle. There was a brief pause before he replied, sounding relieved. Honestly, I think that's a great idea. This situation has been tough for everyone. And a fresh start might be good for you. I'll fast-track the paperwork. For the first time in a while, I felt like I was making the right choice. Thanks, I just need to get out of here. By the next morning, the transfer was official. I had 2 weeks to pack and leave. It felt overwhelming, but also like a massive weight had been lifted. Word spread quickly, and it didn't take long for my parents to show up at my apartment, banging on the door. Ethan, open up! We need to talk! My mother's voice was frantic, filled with desperation. I took a deep breath and opened the door. They stood there, anger and hurt etched on their faces. What do you want? I asked, keeping my tone calm but firm. You're abandoning us, my mother said, her eyes welling with tears. You're walking away from your family. You're throwing everything away. I'm not throwing anything away, I replied coldly. I'm leaving because being around you makes me sick. My father stepped forward, his face flushed with anger. This is selfish and immature. You can't just run away from your problems. You owe it to your family to stay and work things out. Oh, you, I snapped, my voice sharp. You mean the family that sided with Ryan while he screwed my fiancé? The family that stabbed me in the back at every turn? You two disgust me. Turning away, I walked back toward my packed boxes, their presence suffocating. Ethan, my mother pleaded, her voice trembling. You're going to regret this. Family is everything. You'll see how much you have hurt us. I paused, then turned back to them, my voice cold and steady. Goodbye, Mother. Goodbye, Dad. Don't call me for your funeral. Before they could respond, I picked up my phone and dialed the police. I need assistance, I told the dispatcher. My parents are here violating a restraining order. Minutes later, officers arrived. My parents protested, yelling that I was their son and they were only trying to talk. He's our child. "You can't just let him shut us out like this," my father shouted. The officers stayed calm and professional, escorting them to the door. As they left, my mother's voice rang out one last time. "You'll regret this, Ethan. You'll see what you've done." I closed the door behind them and leaned against it, letting out a long breath. The weight on my chest felt lighter. I turned to my packed apartment and muttered, "Goodbye, everything." Then I went back to packing, feeling more at peace than I had in weeks. A few days later, Ryan took his shot at retaliation, not in person but online. He posted a long, dramatic message on his social media account, dripping with self-righteousness. The post started with, "Some people can't handle seeing others happy." He painted himself and Sophia as a couple, rising above hate and negativity, focused on their love and future together. He claimed they were embracing their new chapter with positivity and grace, while others, clearly referring to me, clung to bitterness. The comments were flooded with support. People praised them for their resilience and called them an inspiring couple. Some wrote about how they admired their ability to stay strong despite the drama. I stared at the screen, fury bubbling up inside me. He was twisting the truth, painting himself as the sufferer while making me look like the bitter, unstable one. Seeing the outpouring of support for him and Sophia made me sick. Reading the comments, I felt a sting I hadn't expected. Strangers who knew nothing of the truth were blindly siding with Ryan. Their support hurt more than I cared to admit, but I reminded myself it was all a facade. Ryan wasn't a sufferer, he was a liar. A man who had betrayed me, destroyed my life, and fractured his own family without hesitation. Despite my anger, I forced myself to take a step back. These people didn't know the truth. They didn't understand the pain Ryan had caused or the pieces of my life I was still struggling to put back together. Yet, they celebrated him like some kind of hero. It was infuriating. I took a deep breath, set my phone down, and walked away. Engaging with them wouldn't change anything. It would only pull me deeper into their false narrative. No matter how many likes or comments Ryan got, I wouldn't let him drag me down. My focus had to be on rebuilding my life, not dwelling on their ignorance. They didn't know the truth, and they never would. What mattered now was moving forward, no matter what anyone else thought. Then came the unexpected, Sophia's reaction. After our heated phone call, I assumed she'd continue playing the sufferer, spinning more tales to gain sympathy. But according to Emily, my words had shaken her more than I realized. Emily, who had become an unlikely ally, called me one afternoon. "Sophia's a wreck," she said. "She's been crying nonstop since you called her. I don't think she expected you to lash out like that." I could hear the frustration in her voice, mixed with disbelief. "What, she didn't think I'd finally tell her how I feel?" I asked, unsure if Sophia was genuinely upset or just trying to manipulate the situation. "She's not blaming you anymore," Emily said softly. She admitted to me that what she and Ryan did was awful. I don't think it really hit her until now, but she feels trapped in this mess she's created. I paused, processing Emily's words. Trap? She and Ryan chose this. They can live with the consequences. "I know," Emily replied, sounding conflicted. "But she's scared. She thought Ryan would be stable, that he'd step up. Now that she's pregnant, she's realizing how reckless he is. She told me she doesn't feel secure. She doesn't know how they're going to make it work." Hearing that hit harder than I expected. Sophia had spent so much time projecting confidence about her new life with Ryan, but now it seemed like reality was sinking in. I always knew Ryan was reckless and unreliable, but hearing Sophia admit it to Emily made it clear how shaky their foundation really was. "She says she's stuck," Emily continued. "She's terrified. She keeps saying she thought Ryan would step up, but now she's not sure." I felt a mix of vindication and pity. Sophia had convinced herself she was in control, making the right choices. Now, faced with the reality of her decisions, it seemed like the weight of it all was crushing her. "What do you want me to say, Emily?" I asked, shaking my head. She brought this on herself. "I'm not going to be her safety net, and I'm not going to pretend we're fine." "I understand," Emily replied, "but I thought it might help to know that she's struggling. I think she's finally realizing how badly she messed up." I didn't answer right away. Part of me wanted to tell Emily that Sophia deserved whatever came her way. Another part felt a strange kind of pity for her. Sophia had always tried to appear strong, but now it was clear she was unraveling under the pressure. "She's done too much damage," I said finally. "I can't help her. I get it," Emily said gently. "I just thought you'd want to know. She's not as confident as she pretends to be. She's scared about the future." After we hung up, I sat quietly processing everything. Sophia's breakdown didn't bring me any joy. It didn't undo the betrayal. But it did show me that her and Ryan's life wasn't as perfect as they wanted everyone to believe. Their house of cards was starting to fall apart. My cousin Chloe came by to help me pack and, as usual, brought me up to speed on some family drama I hadn't heard. She told me my aunt, my mom's sister, had confronted my mom in a heated argument, accusing her of favoring Ryan while always sidelining me. Chloe said my aunt didn't hold back, telling my mom that her years of favoritism were finally coming back to haunt her. Hearing that someone else had called them out felt oddly validating. On the legal front, my lawyer assured me the move wouldn't impact the case. "We're still pursuing charges against Ryan for breaking the restraining order and his bogus attack allegations against you," he said confidently. "The judge will see through his claims, especially with his history of violating the order. Moving across the country will also demonstrate that you're not a threat, which strengthens your case." Then I left town. It felt surreal. Now, here I am in Paris, a city I once thought was only a dream. The chaos and toxic family dynamics are behind me, and I'm on the cusp of a new chapter. 3 years later, as the sun dipped low over the Seine, I stood at the altar, waiting for Elise. The chapel was small and intimate, just the way we wanted. The quiet hum of the city faded into the background as I focused on this moment. The vows we had written still echoed in my mind, but a small part of me couldn't help thinking about the empty seats where my family should have been. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a message from my mother, though I'd blocked her number. Somehow she always found a way to reach out. Without even reading it, I swiped it away. "Not much longer now," Jack said, offering me a reassuring smile. He had flown in from the States to stand by me. "You all right?" I nodded, my voice catching. "Yeah, just thinking." "About your family?" I let out a deep breath. I haven't heard from them in years, not that it matters. My mom tried reaching out once after everything, saying she was sorry that they missed me and wanted to fix things, but I've heard it all before. I'm not reopening that door just to have it slammed in my face again. Jack gave me a knowing look. "So, no regrets?" "No," I said firmly. "It hurts, but it's the right decision. Elise and I are starting fresh, and I can't keep letting the past drag me back. They're not part of my life anymore." Jack grinned. "Sounds like Elise has been good for you." "She has," I said, smiling. "She's calm, steady, and strong, the anchor I didn't know I needed. She's been with me through everything, even when I thought I didn't deserve it." "She sounds amazing," Jack said. "And you deserve this, man. You've been through hell. It's time for your happy ending." Just then, the chapel doors opened, and Elise walked in, radiant in her dress. As she made her way toward me, a sense of peace washed over me. The weight of everything I had left behind lifted, and for the first time, I felt completely free. Months later, whispers of Sophia and Ryan's unraveling found their way to me. Emily, as always, kept me informed. One evening, she messaged me with the latest. "Sophia cheated on Ryan," Emily said bluntly, "with some businessman she met through work. It didn't take long for her to lose interest in their life together." I wasn't surprised. "She's back to her old ways?" Emily sighed. "Pretty much. She was never happy, just pretending to be. Now she's wrecked things again." Their rushed relationship, the losses, the betrayal, it was all bound to implode. I'd seen the cracks from the beginning. Sophia had convinced herself Ryan could provide stability, but it was clear she couldn't escape her own patterns. "Some people never learn," I replied. Emily didn't argue. She understood I wasn't being cruel, just honest. "Do you feel sorry for him at all?" Emily asked after a pause. I thought for a moment. "Not really. I don't wish him ill, but he made his choices. He knew who she was, and he still went after her." "Yeah," Emily said. "I just wish he'd seen it coming sooner." "They both made their bed," I said, glancing out at the quiet street. "Now they have to lie in it. Sophia and Ryan made their choices, and whatever comes next is on them. My focus now is on my own life, and Olivia is right here with me, helping me build something genuine. something untainted by the past. That's all that matters. The anger is gone. In its place is a quiet sense of peace, a calm I've never felt before. With Olivia, I've found the happiness I've been searching for. Right now, we're in Thailand on our honeymoon, and every moment feels surreal. We've spun our days exploring colorful markets, relaxing on pristine beaches, and indulging in incredible food. The simple joys of this trip feel like everything I've ever needed. Looking back on everything, I can finally say I'm free. Free from the weight of the past, the toxic relationships, and the constant manipulations. Olivia understands me in a way no one else ever has. She brings out the best in me, and with her, I've found a love that feels solid and real. She's my partner, my future, and the center of my world. My family isn't part of this journey, and they never will be. I've realized I don't need them. What matters now is the life Olivia and I are building together, the love we share, the adventures we're living, and the future we're creating. Sitting here in one of the most breathtaking places I've ever been, I feel content. I've let go of everything that held me back, and for the first time in years, I'm truly happy. In the end, Ethan's story serves as a powerful reminder of the strength of freedom and the ability to rebuild after life's wounds. Sometimes we must accept loss and painful shocks in order to move forward and rediscover ourselves. Life isn't always fair, and we can't change the past, but we can take control of our future. It's the tough and decisive decisions, like Ethan's, that allowed him to find peace and true happiness. This story is not only a lesson about love and betrayal, but also a powerful message about resilience and finding oneself in times of hardship. If you too have faced challenges similar to Ethan's, remember that you can overcome anything, as long as you have the strength to start anew. If this story has touched your heart and made you reflect on your own life, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss other inspiring stories. Join us as we share life lessons through every story and find the strength to change your own life. Feel free to share this video if you believe it could help someone else in their journey. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.